A very good evening. From stories around the world to stories here at home, this is the National News broadcast. I'm Vidushni Sadish Kumar.
A very good evening indeed. I'm Charita Minipurarachi, and let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news.
The Navy apprehends heroin valued at 3,100 million rupees in the international sea. Prime Minister instructs to prepare Ayurvedic and indigenous medicinal standards by presenting before the world the outcome of research. Sri Lanka becomes the country which has inoculated the highest number of persons in proportionate to the population last week. The government says that the Good Governance Government and its Health Minister should take the responsibility on the erasing of the database of the National Medicines Regulatory Authority. The research establishes the fact that the controversial Pandukaranda plant has not been subjected to extinction in Sri Lanka.
On to those and other stories in detail now, and starting off with local stories. The Sri Lanka Navy says that the estimated value of the stock of heroin apprehended in an operation conducted in the international seas south of Sri Lanka exceeds 3,100 million rupees. The weight of the stocks of narcotics jointly taken into custody by the Navy, the police and the intelligence divisions was more than 336 kilograms. The contraband, the foreign fishing craft as well as the suspect were brought to the Colombo harbour premises under the protection of the Samudra vessel of the Sri Lanka Navy this morning, and the several foreign nationals are among the suspects of the drug racket. Defence Secretary Retired General Kamal Gunaratne, Commander of the Sri Lanka Navy, Vice Admiral Nishant Ulugethanna has also been present to witness the apprehension of the narcotics and the suspects. The Navy Intelligence Division along with the State Intelligence Service has conducted a joint operation in the deep sea recently to prevent drug racketeering. As a result of this search operation, the security forces have been able to apprehend more than 290 kilos of heroin. 5 suspects have been taken into custody by the Navy. It has also been reported that more than 625 kilograms of heroin have been taken into custody in the past few days.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has instructed relevant officials to take measures to present the research outcome of indigenous medicine and Ayurvedic standards before the world. He made these remarks on the occasion of the declaring open of the Rajapura Ayurvedic Hospital in Sirigala, Monaragala. The Rajapura Ayurveda Hospital in Monaragala is engaged in the treatment of many types of non-infectious diseases. The hospital accommodates residential treatment facilities for around 40 patients at a time. It also provides treatment free of charge to bhikkhus and clergymen of other religious denominations. State Minister Shashindra Rajapaksa presided over the opening ceremony. The minister was also engaged in an inspection tour of the hospital. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has joined the event through video technology from the temple trees. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said that it is a timely need to safeguard and impart the indigenous treatment methods to the present-day population and also to introduce the ingenuity to the international field. Indigenous medicine is part of the Sri Lankan culture. There had been Veda Mahatmya who had fully carried forward the cultural traits of local medicine to the world. It was due to the realization of the importance to promote indigenous medicine that a separate ministry was established in this connection. Data of around 20,000 indigenous physicians have been fed into the internet. The Ayurvedic medicine has become popular throughout the world. The Prime Minister added that Sri Lanka must be ready to make use of this popularity. He has also pointed out the need to utilize local treatment methods on foreigners in the fields of beautification as well. The Prime Minister also said that the government has also instructed to prepare a methodology to further spread the fame of Sri Lanka Ayurvedic medicine throughout the world.
වශයෙන් විසෙන් තොරව නිෂ්පාදනය කරන ආහාර වර්ග, ඖෂධ වර්ග සහ රූපලාවන්‍ය නිෂ්පාදන සඳහා මූලික වශයෙන් ඉහළ ඉල්ලුමක් තියෙන බව අපි අමතක කරන්න හොඳ නැහැ. එමේ ඉල්ලුම අපිට ජය ගන්න පුළුවන් නම් ඒ රටේ ආර්ථිකයට විශාල හයියක්. ඒ වගේම දේශීය වෙදකම, ආයුර්වේදය, ආශ්‍රිත පරීක්ෂණ දියුණු කරා. ඒවායේ ප්‍රතිඵල ලෝකයට කියන්න ක්‍රමයක් සකස් කරන්නයි අපි අදාළ බලධාරීන්ට දැනටමත් උපදෙස් දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා වෙනදා දක්නට නොමැති ප්‍රමිතියක් මේ හැම දෙයකටම දකින්න ලැබෙයි කියන එකයි අපේ බලාපොරොත්තුව.
The
Mahasangha, headed by the chief incumbent of the Siri Piyaratana Vidyathanaya in Vallavaya, Venerable Kanda Udapangwe Sudamathera, Parliamentarian Kumarasiri Ratnayaka, head of the Rajapura Private Drug Manufacturing Company, Sumit Rajapura, have also participated in the ceremony.
Moving to the local update of the COVID-19 pandemic, Sri Lanka has been recorded as the country which has inoculated the highest number of persons in the world in proportionate to the population last week. This fact was confirmed by the Our World in Data website. Chief editor of Our World in Data website, Edward Matthew, has published the data in his Twitter account last week. Accordingly, 13% of the Sri Lankan population was inoculated last week alone. According to the grading, the second highest immunization percentage has been claimed by Latin American state Ecuador. 12.5% of the Ecuadorians have been inoculated. The third place has been secured by the state of Brunei with a vaccination percentage of 11.7%. The number of persons in Sri Lanka who have received at least one dose of vaccine under the COVID immunization program has increased to 12,660,231. The number of those who have received both doses of vaccines have exceeded 9 million. The epidemiology unit says that vaccines has been administered on 9,07,588. Vaccination of persons between the ages of 20 and 30 years has got underway at the Sunanda Mahavihara in Beliatta today. The Pfizer vaccine has been used to immunization program. Provision of the vaccine to people between the ages of 20 and 30 years in Veerakati area has taken place at the Youth Brigade Training Centre in Naigala today. Minister Namal Rajapaksha has inspected the program. A further batch of 4 million doses of Sinopharm vaccine is scheduled to arrive in the island from China at dawn tomorrow. The Chinese embassy, issuing a Twitter message, said yesterday that this was the highest number of vaccine doses scheduled to arrive in the island in a day. The Director General of Health Services has confirmed 145 COVID-19 related deaths today.
මුළු රෝගීන් 52368ටම 607 දෙනයි ප්‍රතිකාර අවසන් කරලා ඔවුන් ආපහු නිරෝගී තත්ත්වයෙන් නැවත මේ පද්ධතියෙන් මුදා හැරලා තියෙනවා 37448ක්.
117 of the victims were above the age of 60 years. 24 other fatalities were between the ages of 30 and 59 years. The remaining 4 victims were belonging to the age of 30 years. 14,222 COVID-19 infected persons are receiving treatment in their homes. The Operational Center for the Prevention of the Spread of the COVID-19 outbreak has made a clarification on its SMS service of the telephone number 1904 and the call service of the telephone number 1906 set up in the operational studio of the center. 3 high-flow oxygen therapy ventilators valued about 11 million rupees were handed over to hospitals today. The recipient hospitals of the machines were the Colombo National Hospital, Colombo South Teaching Hospital and the Gampaha General Hospital. The donations have been jointly made by the Expo Lanka Holding Private Company and the Organisation Against Cancer in Sri Lanka. These ventilators, manufactured through latest technology, is able to treat those who are having breathing difficulties. He also confirmed beyond normal patient treatment proposed as well an intensive care unit and high treatment services. The machines were handed over to the Minister Dr. Kehelia Rambukwella today. The chairman of the respective institutions, Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Major General Specialist Physician Dr. Sanjeeva Bonasinghe were also present on this occasion. 739 persons have been taken into custody in connection with the violation of quarantine laws and the quarantine curfew in the 24 hours that ended at 6 o'clock this morning. So far, 64,447 persons have been taken into custody in this connection.
Minister of External Affairs Professor G.L. Paris said that Sri Lankan government is ready to make presentations on its process of strengthening democracy and reconciliation at the upcoming session of the UN Human Rights Council and the General Assembly. He made those comments addressing a press conference in Colombo yesterday.
The government of Sri Lanka today is performing a difficult task under extraordinarily challenging circumstances. COVID-19 is by no means peculiar to Sri Lanka. It has engulfed the entire globe. But in that situation, if you look at the performance of Sri Lanka objectively and dispassionately, I think you will necessarily have to conclude that a very satisfying job is being done despite the very formidable challenges. Reference was made just now to the upcoming sessions of the Human Rights Council in Geneva, that is the 48th session, which is scheduled to begin on the 12th of September. Then just after that, on the 21st of September, we have the United Nations General Assembly. Sri Lanka has a very convincing story to tell. The Human Rights Council met last in March this year, that is 6 months ago. Since then, we will present to the members of the Human Rights Council the tremendous progress that has been made on the ground in a variety of sectors. Take, for instance, the Commission of Inquiry presided over by a sitting judge of the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka, not a retired judge. A sitting judge is presiding over a Commission of Inquiry appointed by His Excellency President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. It has done very valuable work. It has submitted to the President an interim report. This was on the 21st of July, a little more than a month ago. So that will encapsulate the very tangible, measurable progress that has been made in many of the matters that are dealt with in the resolutions pertaining to Sri Lanka. Then look at the work of the independent institutions, the Office of Missing Persons, the Office for Reparation, the Office on National Unity and Reconciliation, the tremendous progress that has been made with regard to sustainable development goals, SDG 16 committee, which is chaired by no less than the Prime Minister. Then we have left the war behind us. That was a very painful period in the history of our country, which covered a period of 3 decades. We have found our way out of the woods. And today, we are able to release increasing numbers of former LTT cadres. 16 have already been released. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has taken action under Section 13 of the Prevention of Terrorism Act to appoint a committee presided over by a previous Chief Justice, Justice Asoka de Silva, to identify others who can be released into the community after adequate rehabilitation without any detriment to vital interests relating to national security. So that is being done. Now, these are some of the accomplishments which we will present to international bodies that will be meeting within the next few weeks.
The government MP says that the Good Governance government and its health minister should take the full responsibility on the raising of the database of the National Medicines Regulatory Authority. They have expressed the opinion at a media briefing at the Government Information Department today. Parliamentarian Sanjeev Vedrimana said that they have arrived at the National Medicines Regulatory Authority as a group of parliamentarians yesterday in order to clear the public mind of the controversial incident. Proper procedures have not been followed in the digitalization process of the NMRA in the year 2017. He has also said that the present officials of the NMRA have acted with extreme responsibility to overcome a difficult situation.
The 2020 National Red Data List on fauna and flora as well as freshwater fishes in Sri Lanka were unveiled yesterday. The event has taken place at the Ministry of Environment. It has also been established on this occasion that the controversial Pandukaranda plant is not being subjected to extinction in Sri Lanka. The National Red Data Book is being published once in every 5 years. The ministry has taken measures to update information in that list based on 12 criteria. There were species, birds, mammals, reptiles, amphibians, butterflies, ants, bees, spiders, freshwater crabs and oysters in land surface. Minister Mahinda Amaravira said that at a media briefing that the latest revision of the data book will be issued before the end of this year. The list has been presented following an extensive study conducted by the Biodiversity Secretariat of the Ministry of Environment with the assistance of the Department of National Botanical Science and the International Union of Conservation. Numerous opinions have been expressed relating to the Pandukaranda plant at the time of the construction of the Colombo-Kandy Expressway.
Meanwhile, the Department of Criminal Investigation says that investigations have commenced to reveal information pertaining to the person who was responsible for the recent terrorist attack in New Zealand. A communique issued by the police headquarters this evening says that information are being received from persons who have had close connections with the culprit. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, in a statement made yesterday, said that a Sri Lankan national was connected to the terror attack that took place inside a supermarket in New Zealand. The relevant persons were reported to have left for New Zealand in 2011 as a student. The investigations are being conducted according to the information received by the Sri Lankan Intelligence Division and the police. The CID says information relating to the accused has been obtained from his relatives. He was said that he had resided in Kathankudi in Batticaloa prior to leaving for New Zealand. The attacker was reported to have stabbed several unarmed civilians upon entering a supermarket in Auckland City. The police had mobilized instantly and shot to death the attacker within a brief period of 60 seconds. 3 out of the 6 victims of the knife attack are reported to be in serious condition. The New Zealand Prime Minister, in a special statement, has pledged today to bring necessary constitutional amendments within a short period to prevent the recurrence of such terrorist attacks. The police have identified that the suspect had remained in extremist stance since the year 2016. He was also reported to have been placed under detention on 2 occasions. One such incident was when he attempted to flee to Syria for weapon training. The security divisions has informed the authorities on possible attacks from the person. The police had constantly remained vigilant as adequate legal remedies were not available in New Zealand to arrest and detain him. The New Zealand police further says due to the swift chasing of the suspect by the armed police, personnel had enabled to stop his attempts to kill several persons. And New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern vowed today to tighten counter-terrorism laws this month after a knife-wielding militant known to authorities stabbed and wounded 7 people in a supermarket.
New Zealand will tighten its counter-terrorism laws after a stabbing spree at a supermarket in Auckland left several injured. That attack was carried out by what authorities have called an extremist that was known to them. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern vowed on Saturday to pass legislation as soon as possible.
And no later than by the end of this month.
Just moments after Friday's attack began, police shot dead the assailant, a Sri Lankan national who had been convicted and jailed for 3 years until July. Ardern said he came to police attention years ago for sympathizing with militant group Islamic State online. The 32-year-old was monitored constantly, but could not be kept in prison by law.
Based on the level of offending we had, those legal avenues were all used. Everything available to us was used.
Now the counter-terror legislation bill will outlaw any preparation that might lead to a terror attack, closing what critics have said has been a loophole allowing plotters to stay free. Ardern, however, said that law may not have made a difference in this case.
This was a highly motivated individual who used a supermarket visit as a shield for an attack. And that is an incredibly tough set of circumstances.
She also refused to give more details on the individual. Countdown, which owns the supermarket where Friday's attacks occurred, said on Saturday it had removed knives and scissors from its shelves. It said it's considering whether it would continue to sell them. Local media have reported that other supermarket chains have followed suit.
The Airport and Aviation Services Company says that direct flights between Aeroflot Airlines of Russia and Sri Lanka will commence on the 4th of November this year. A discussion in this connection was conducted at the headquarters of the Aeroflot company in Moscow City, Russia, yesterday. The Ministry of Tourism has decided to conduct talks with the airline companies throughout the world with the objective of enhancing the reputation of Sri Lanka as an attractive tourist destination. The meeting in Russia was the initial discussion held in this connection. The Aeroflot Airlines has earlier made arrangements to commence direct flights to Sri Lanka with effect from 1st of this month. However, the plans have been postponed indefinitely due to the existing pandemic condition. The outcome of yesterday's meeting has been that Russia is to conduct 2 flights each week to the island. Attention has also been focused at the talks on Sri Lanka's COVID immunization vaccination program. Aeroflot officials said that Sri Lanka would become a secured, healthy destination based on the success of the program. The meeting has also dealt with the issues of transportation of tourists and the provision of facilities to the tourists. Well, a resident in Kini Gamma Bandarawala Hemasiri Bandara Disanayaka has been successful in designing a machine to produce organic fertilizer. A speciality of his innovation is its ability to easily turn into pieces the raw material used in organic manure production. Sri Lankans show a higher inclination to produce organic fertilizer as a result of the decision taken by the government to cultivate crops using this form of manure. State Minister Shashindra Rajapaksa has inspected the fertilizer manufacturing machine produced by Hemasiri Bandara recently.
And meanwhile, the 75th anniversary of the United National Party falls on the 6th of this month. The theme of this year's event is Great History, Great Future. Deputy Leader of the party, Ruwan Wijewardena, says that the anniversary ceremony is scheduled to commence via online at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Deputy Leader of the UNP, Ruwan Wijewardena, said that all of them are staying at homes these days due to COVID pandemic. He added that therefore they are using latest technology to bring the anniversary celebrations to the people in their residences. He further said that they are using the Zoom technology, Facebook Live and YouTube and many other networks in this connection. Ruwan Wijewardena also said that UNP is a great party in history of the country. It had produced many important and great leaders. He also said that it was the UNP which is celebrating its 75th anniversary has presented a series of alternate proposals to control the corona pandemic through a proper management procedure.
Locally and internationally renowned versatile dancer and external lecturer in the drama division of the Kelaniya University, Kalabhushana S. Velabadage has passed away at the age of 90 years today. The well-versed dance teacher Velabadage was born in the Anmaduwa village in Puranvatta in the Atakalan Korale in Sabaragamu province on the 25th of December 1931. As a child of a traditional family of art teachers, he had his primary education from the Makhandura Government School. Later on, he became a pupil of dance instructor Yakutumulle Mohottihami Hapunilame. Thereafter, he was qualified in the upcountry dance examination and joined the government dancing school and received the diploma certificate in dancing. S. Velabadage had commenced his professional career as a dance instructor at the Nalanda College in Colombo. He had extended significant contribution to the cultural features of dancing and music at many state educational, cultural and sports institutions. Many veteran artists in the field are the pupils of this drama teacher. Veteran dance instructor Mallika Velabadage is the beloved spouse of this great teacher. He is also the father of two children, dancers Renuka and Achala. The funeral arrangements will be notified later.
And with that, we conclude tonight news. Do it just tomorrow at the very same time. Stay safe. Good night.
Good night.